I'm very pleased to hear the connection between corruption in the financial, banking and economic system and the connection with unregulated capitalism. However, what I don't hear, and our think tank and others have pointed the finger there, when I came here, I was stopped, bumped into a station with the British First Party or whatever, and protesters. Because we are not identifying the enemy, people are being targeted, like me. And what's the point? We've got to identify the bankers' government, not just multinationals, which some people have mentioned, but the secretive, unaccountable bankers' government which rules the city. Now, I don't hear that. And I want to hear that. I want to hear people there talk about economic control by the population and attacking, identifying and making this bankers' government, criminalising them. I don't hear that.
Okay.
And I want to hear that.
And I think last Saturday, we put on a whole day on the role of the city in policy making. So the LIBOR fiddling, the tax fiddling, the pension fiddling, put the whole lot into a package. So that's Stop TTIP, and it will be online sometime. You say that you want to hear it, but you're as able as anyone else and anyone in this room to do exactly what we're doing. The stuff that I've just told you about TTIP, I went through a document of the Public Services International, the International Public Service Union, because I hadn't looked at it for 2 years. I went through that yesterday on a 2.5-hour train trip, and that's what I spoke from. Anyone else could do that as well.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, she didn't answer my point. I asked the panel. It's a very important point. Yeah, you're talking about bankers' government and identifying the criminals. We agree with you. I want to hear the panel, sir.
Yeah, we agree with you, okay?
They've already done it.
No, they haven't.
You weren't listening, they've already done it.
I only had one person speak. I'd like to hear what the panel are saying. Do they understand the enemy?
Would you like to respect the fact that other people in this room?
I'm
There
respecting
are
the
four.
fact I'm asking a question.
We've got 15 minutes, and there are 4 other questioners. And I think you can probably take it that most people would agree with Linda's assessment of it. There was a very good meeting last Saturday, which I attended, and Linda also spoke at it. Sam was actually aware of things. I don't know, Glyn was aware of it too. People understand what you're saying, not disagreeing. The lady behind me, yes.
If there are any suggestions on how we stop being in crisis mode, because there's continually there was also globalisation movement 10 years ago. We've got TTIP, we've got CETA, we've got TISA, we've got this onslaught which comes again and again in waves, which we then fight back, but we're quite often in crisis mode. So how do we get to the point towards fixing our democracy, both at a national level in terms of the role of capital, but in terms of how would we get a kind of at an international level, how would we get cooperation that would benefit people and planet and move beyond this so we actually fix our democracy? Do you have any ideas about how we could do that?
Hey, so I think what you've asked there, I mean, is that's the killer question, isn't it? How do we expand past that? And I don't have the answer for you from here, and I'm sure that's what you were expecting me to say. But what I would say is, in how we approach TTIP, I would say that this is a very useful thing. I mean, lots of people are saying it's the T-tip of the iceberg, which is the sort of classic, anyone who starts working on it wants to use it straight away. But it is like that. We can see this as a way in to talk about all these other issues that you've brought up and actually expand it past that. This is our way into talking about it, to talk about the deregulatory agenda, you know, the movement away from what's good for people and our government's caring about what's good for just money. And I think I'm just going to end up going around in circles on this, but it needs to be broader than TTIP, but TTIP is giving us an opportunity to talk about it and to actually talk about the processes that we mean with a clear example. So in that sense, it's actually given us a good way in. And the worry now is, along with we've had these opportunities before, the aim now is to expand it further. And do I know exactly how to do that? No, but I'm hoping that's what I'm working towards, and I hope that's what other people are doing as well.
Okay. Things are building. I mean, there is a international discussion going on all the time on email lists, certainly with European groups. So that's there. The meeting I referred to about the city was an attempt to get on the front foot and to get on the not just being reacting, but to start digging into where they're at, to start attacking them where they're at. TTIP and the NHS has been a really good road into TTIP, and TTIP is a really good road into the whole trade agenda. I'm sort of trying to encourage people in bigger regions at the moment to get together. So particularly starting with the South Coast, for instance, contacts along there, getting them to be a South Coast for the NHS and against TTIP, and possibly Yorkshire doing the same, possibly the North West doing the same, to try and up the ante and to appear to be and to be stronger and more together in precisely where we stand. And within that, I think to say for the NHS and against TTIP, for people who have perhaps know very little or haven't heard of TTIP, they can see straight away that it's antithetical to the NHS. So that's a possible next move.
I'll just mention that there is something called the Alternative Trade Mandate. I don't know a lot about it, but it's on the Stop TTIP website, isn't it?
It's you can find it easily.
Yeah, and there's a lot of information there, which is an attempt to create trade agreements from the grassroots up and not dominated by corporations. Anyway, gentleman there.
I'm from Haringey. In Haringey, we have a ward called Tottenham Hale. NHS UK, England, has closed down 3 doctors' surgeries. There are a lot of people there, mainly BME, who cannot access medical treatment.